What's up everyone, Josh here and welcome to the Adventure Diaries. Today we are in the San Rafael Swell in central Utah doing a little bit of exploring. T and I are flying solo for this trip. Unfortunately, Erin had to work and couldn't make it. We'll just have to try not to have too much fun without her. There's a lot of history in the Swell, from ancient Native Americans to some things that are a little bit more modern. It's all here to be discovered. These petrographs are known as the Black Dragon Panel. They are attributed to the barrier canyon culture that existed in this area several thousand years ago. Petroglyphs from the Fremont people can also be found here. If you come across sites like this, please be respectful and don't try to add your own art. This getaway trip was to celebrate my niece's birthday, but she pulled a fast one on us. She apparently got sick the day before and couldn't come down. I guess the getaway meant to get away from all of us. That's alright though. We had fun celebrating without her. After leaving the Black Dragon Trail, we jumped over to the other side of I-70 to do a little bit more exploring. There was a canyon nearby we really wanted to check out. Unfortunately, the clouds started to roll in and the sky was darkening. We were really hoping to make it there before the weather made a turn for the worse. Luck was on our side. We arrived without a single drop of rain hitting our windshields. Three Fingers Canyon. I'm really glad we decided to come to this little canyon, because this is one of the coolest canyons with one of the coolest petroglyph panels I've seen in a very long time. These petroglyphs are truly a sight to see. They run down the walls and spill out onto the floor. You really do have to tread lightly to avoid stepping on them. It would be a tragedy if myself or someone else accidentally destroyed these pieces of history. I'm not 100% on this, but I believe this panel is attributed to the Fremont people that lived in this area between 700 and 2,000 years ago. Their territory engulfed the majority of Utah and extended into parts of Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. As I mentioned, this is a really cool little canyon, but it's just the beginning of a much larger hike. I don't know how accurate this is, since we didn't hike it, but according to the interwebs, this trail goes back another 3.5 miles or so. They say the views are pretty good. Maybe one day we'll have to come back and find out. T did discover his new favorite thing. And I can't blame him. It did look like fun. Well, as you can see, the storm finally hit us. Overnight, it snowed 4 to 5 inches. We had quite the surprise when we woke up. But we are not going to let a little snow hinder our fun, though. It was a lot of fun breaking trail through the snow. I think it scared everyone away, though. Unlike the previous day, we rarely saw any sign of people. The plan for this morning was to head out to Swayze's cabin, but as luck would have it, we made a wrong turn and found something my brother's been trying to find for quite a while now. The Lone Warrior pictograph. This lone warrior is depicted carrying a spear and shield. His red form stands out from the surrounding sandstone. It's a little faded now, but I would have loved to have seen it in its heyday. There are other pictographs nearby, but they are highly faded and hard to decipher what they are. The Swayze family arrived into the Swell in the late 1800s to raise livestock and to wrangle the wild horses that roam throughout the area. Built in 1921 by Joseph Swayze, the cabin was used by the Swayze family, as well as other cowboys, as a shelter while they moved cattle from one side of the swell to the other. I can see why they chose this place to build a cabin, because you cannot deny this view. You may or may not know, but eastern Utah, as well as other parts of the Colorado Plateau, was a hotspot for uranium mining. People flocked to the area to stake their claim in hopes of striking it rich. Little mining towns popped up all over the place. Lucky Strike Mine is one of these mining towns. In 1949, a group of prospectors were exploring Red's Canyon. They eventually followed a wild horse into one of the side canyons. This was the break they needed. They laid claim to 3 sites, and Lucky Strike was born. They worked it for several years until it was leased out to a bigger mining corporation. Technically, the claims are still active, but it is clear nobody has mined here for years. Not much is left but a few run-down old houses, a powder storage shed, and an old power station. We tried looking for the actual mines. We checked a couple places that we thought they should be, but no luck. With the snow melting, it was beginning to become a muddy mess, so we decided that it would be best to stop while we were ahead. Time was running out for T and I. Soon we would have to end our fun and hit the road back home. Before that had to happen, it was time for lunch. We found a nice little spot near Muddy Creek. There wasn't much here besides an old fallen down building and the creek. There was plenty of evidence that cattle had passed through. Of course, it could have been the wild horses. I know we were pressed for time, but it was more important for T to have a little fun. This trip has come to an end. If you like what we were doing, please like and subscribe. And remember, sometimes you have to get lost to find yourself. Until next time, thanks for stopping by.